Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Now, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Of course, I'm always running my $15 MLB best bet, so check it out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Tuesday, August 2nd. First up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the San Diego Padres. This is going to be a doubleheader. Game 1 at 4:10 Eastern, Game 2 at 10:10 Eastern. Now, unfortunately, we don't have an official starting matchup for the second game of this doubleheader. Neither team has listed a probable starter, so just going to have to take a pass on that game. It's not enough information to really talk about it. But Game 1, we should see Jose Urena and Yu Darvish on the mound. Now, before we get into that game, I just want to mention this is going to be the Ron's Rundown trade deadline edition, as this is the trade deadline, Tuesday, August 2nd. We're going to see all the teams, at least half the teams in the league, make some moves here, moving either some veterans or going after prospects. And we're going to have buyers and sellers, teams that want to make a run at the World Series, bringing in some rentals or some talents right now. And we're going to have some teams that don't believe they have a chance this year, but want to look towards the future, bring in some prospects and move some of their bigger name guys. We already saw a few big trades on Monday, and then throughout the week, we saw Josh Hader going to San Diego. Frankie Montas, who was actually projected to start on Tuesday for Oakland, he's gone to the Yankees, to the Bronx. And then Trey Mancini going from Baltimore to Houston. Mancini, a lifetime Oriole at the time, so big move there. And we're just going to see a ton of big moves. Juan Soto is on the block, more than likely going to be traded, so that is a big move there. And just a ton of big name players should be on the move, so make sure you're keeping track of that before you place your wagers, as some of the big name guys for the teams that you may be wanting to take, they might be on their way to a different club. So make sure you always check in with that on different websites are going to be covering that trade deadline trackers. So for Game 1 of this Rockies-Padres game, Jose Urena really struggling. His last 8 1/3 innings, giving up 12 earned runs, 16 total runs in that stretch, walking a lot of batters and giving up a lot of base hits. I just can't trust him in this spot. San Diego's playing well. You look at Yu Darvish having a really good string of starts. His last few outings, he's getting deeper into games. He's striking out a good amount of batters. His last 4 outings, he's gone at least 7 innings. So I do like Darvish in this spot. The Rockies have struggled against right-handed pitching on the road this season. So give me San Diego here on the run line. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins hosting the Cincinnati Reds with Graham Ashcraft and Braxton Garrett as your projected starters. Now, Graham Ashcraft went 6 2/3 innings against these Marlins back on July 28th, giving up 8 hits, 4 total runs. 3 of those were earned, a homer, 2 walks, and he had 6 strikeouts. While on the other side, Braxton Garrett also faced this Reds lineup back on July 27th. He went 5 innings. He gave up 5 earned runs, but he had 8 strikeouts, and I do think he'll bounce back here. That was at Great American Ballpark, a more hitter-friendly park. Now you'll be at Lone Depot Park in Miami, a more pitcher-friendly park. And overall, the Cincinnati Reds bullpen is not something that I want to get behind right now. Miami Marlins do play their best ball at home, and although their offense hasn't been easy to watch lately, I still think their pitching staff is much better than Cincinnati's right now. And I think the Marlins can get to Ashcraft similarly as they did in that previous series against Cincinnati in Cincinnati. So I'm going to take the Miami Marlins here at a pretty good price with Garrett on the mound. I trust him a little bit more than Ashcraft, and I trust this Marlins bullpen a lot more than Cincinnati's right now. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're going to see Corbin Burnes and Bryce Wilson on the mound for this one. Now, the Brewers have been a thorn in the side of the Pittsburgh Pirates this season. The Brewers are leading the season series 9-4 right now. While the Pirates did have some success in the last couple games of this season series, I think this one's going to be all Brewers here. You got Corbin Burnes, one of the better starters in the National League this year, 8-4 with a 2.31 ERA, a solid .92 whip. He's got 160 strikeouts in 124.2 innings. Pirates have had big-time strikeout issues as a team this year. And while Corbin Burnes does have the occasional problem with the home run ball, as most power pitchers do, I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue here when you got Bryce Wilson on the other side. The Brewers are crushing right-handed pitching as of late, and Bryce Wilson is getting crushed himself. And at home this year, he's got an 8.20 ERA, so he fares much better on the road than he has at home this season. I think the Brewers win this game going away, so give me Milwaukee on the run line. In our next matchup, we see the New York Yankees hosting the Seattle Mariners. Logan Gilbert and Jameson Taillon are your projected starters. Now I'm going to go with a little different route for this play. I'm going to look at a player prop in this one. You got Logan Gilbert on the mound for the Mariners. He's 10-4 with a 2.78 ERA. Really good numbers on paper, but where I do worry about Gilbert the most is the home run ball. And you look at his advanced numbers, a 4.12 expected ERA, pretty high there. 3.66 xFIP is a lot higher than his current ERA as well. You look at his other numbers, bottom 2nd percentile in average exit velocity, bottom 5th percentile in hard hit percentage, bottom 33rd in expected slugging. So those numbers are a little concerning when you're facing a New York Yankees lineup that is very, very powerful, top 3 in isolated power in the last 30 days against right-handed pitching, and they're playing at Yankee Stadium with the short porch, a very hitter-friendly ballpark. You got the league leader in home runs on the team in Aaron Judge. I think this is going to be a tough spot for Logan Gilbert, and I do think it benefits a hitter like Aaron Judge. So as long as Aaron Judge is in the lineup, we'll have to see. As long as he doesn't get injured on Monday and doesn't take a rest day on Tuesday, I think Aaron Judge should be in the lineup on Tuesday for the Yankees, and I like him to hit a home run here. You know, Judge has hit plenty of them this season, so you're not always going to get the best odds for a home run from him, but I still think this is a good spot for him to hit a home run against a pitcher that is very susceptible to the home run ball, and he's pitching at Yankee Stadium. So give me Aaron Judge to hit a home run in this Mariners-Yankees matchup. Next up, we see the New York Mets taking on the Washington Nationals. We're going to see Corey Abbott for the Nationals and the long-awaited season debut of Jacob deGrom for the New York Mets. I'm a big fan of Jacob deGrom's. I think he's one of the better pitchers we've seen in the last decade or so at the major league level, and I'm really excited for him to make his season debut. Hopefully he can stay healthy. Last year, he was amazing in the first half of the year, 7-2 with a 1.08 ERA. He did get injured in the 2021 season, missed the rest of the year, and then he looked to be ready for spring, but he also got hurt in spring training, so he had to miss the first half and a little bit more as well. But if he can stay healthy for this New York Mets rotation, the Mets already have a very, very good record right now and a pretty good pitching staff, so deGrom being an elite starter, it's only going to help this Mets team even more so, and I think deGrom can pitch well in 2022. We saw him struggle a little bit at times in the minor league rehab starts he had, but overall, he's still missing bats, and I think he's going to have a good outing here. He should be limited here to about 75 pitches, I would think. I'm not the manager, but 4 to 5 innings at the most is what we're used to seeing from guys that have missed a good amount of time making their first start back. But I still think deGrom will pitch well here. We're more than likely not going to see Juan Soto in a Nationals jersey for this game, as this is going to be a 7:05 Eastern start time, and Soto is on the trade block. The Nationals have said if they can't re-sign him, they're going to move him. So the Nationals offense is one of the worst in baseball, and without Soto, it's going to get even worse. So I can't trust this Nationals lineup. The Mets are big, big favorites in this spot, and I don't really want to lay. The money line's no option. The run line's still going to be negative odds by quite a bit. To me, just taking the under is the best option. I think the Nationals bullpen can keep the Mets bats to about 5 to 6 runs, and even at that, I think we get under this total. So I lean towards the Mets team total over, but I lean towards the under in the full game between the Mets and Nationals. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Cleveland Guardians. We're going to see Zach Gallen and Tristan McKenzie as your projected starters. Now, the Guardians are small favorites in this spot, and I do like Cleveland to win this game. I actually watched Zach Gallen's last start, and his velocity was a little bit down. He didn't really trust in his fastball as much against the San Francisco Giants, and although he had a good start on paper, 5 innings, 1 earned run, and 5 strikeouts, he just didn't look the same out there, relying a little bit too much on that off-speed stuff. That does concern me. The Cleveland Guardians, a very good lineup at limiting strikeouts. I've mentioned that all season long, and in the last 30 days, they only have an 18.0 strikeout percentage against righties. That's the lowest rate in baseball, so I don't think Gallen's going to be able to get by with using his off-speed stuff against Cleveland consistently. This Guardians lineup is top 10 in team OPS against righties in the last 30 days. I think they can get to Gallen here, and the Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen not really trustworthy this season. I think Cleveland can score from start to finish in this one. And Tristan McKenzie, although he's had his few starts where he struggled, especially with the home run ball, I think he's good enough here for Cleveland to grab the win and win this game pretty comfortably as well. McKenzie 3-1 with a 2.89 ERA at home this year. Give me Cleveland on the money line. Next up, Kevin Gausman and the Toronto Blue Jays are taking on Drew Rasmussen and the Tampa Bay Rays. At the Trop, it's going to be a 7:10 Eastern start time. Kevin Gausman's struggles have mostly been at home this year. On the road, he's got a 2.34 ERA, 59 strikeouts in 50 innings. He's only given up 2 home runs on the road this season. And the Tampa Bay Rays, although they've added a few names to their lineup already, and with Jose Siri and David Peralta, I don't think it's enough to help this offense. It's really struggling overall. although they're doing a pretty good job of getting on base, they're not scoring with runners in scoring position, and I think their power numbers are also something to worry about a little bit. Look right now outside the top 15 in isolated power against righties in the last 30 days. So I don't know if I can trust this Tampa Bay Rays lineup to do much of anything against Gausman. Now you look on the other side, Drew Rasmussen, he's been very sharp at Tropicana Field, 3-0 with a 2.09 ERA, but he's also a starter that's not going to go too deep into ball games, usually around 4 to 6 innings at the max, but mostly his starts last about 4 to 5 innings at the most. And Tampa Bay Rays bullpen this season just not as good as what we've seen in years past. And I think that's the big thing with this Rays team. They're a small market team. They rely on their bullpen and the pitching staff to get them by. Now, I know they have a ton of injuries right now. Most of their bigger name guys are on the IL. You look at Wander Franco, he was one of the better players in the league before his injury. So they will get healthier and this team will be more competitive. But right now, just not loving what I'm seeing from the Tampa Bay Rays. And I think the Blue Jays are the better side. So give me the Toronto Blue Jays on the money line. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Atlanta Braves. Nick Nelson and Spencer Strider are your projected starters. Now, I think this is a good decision for Philadelphia going with the bullpen game here. I think the value on Philadelphia in this spot, actually, Spencer Strider is somebody that really impresses me. There's no doubt about that. He's got a 2.91 ERA, 120 strikeouts in 80.1 innings pitched, but this is still a very, very heavy price to lay with somebody that's had issues with the home run ball and the walks at times this season. He's given up at least one homer in each of his last 2 starts, and they haven't been the sharpest of starts from him in his last 2 outings. His last 10 innings, giving up 6 earned runs, 2 homers, 3 walks, and only 10 strikeouts in those 10 innings, which is still pretty good, but not the Ks per 9 we're used to seeing from Strider. The Philadelphia Phillies have had pretty good power numbers against righties in the last 30 days, so I do think they'll be able to find some offense against Strider and keep this game rather close. I think with this price here, to me, it's the underdog or nothing. I just don't want to lay this kind of price with Atlanta. So give me the Philadelphia Phillies, a competitive team as of late. Give me them on the run line, getting the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Minnesota Twins. Matt Manning and Chris Archer are your projected starters. This is going to be the first start for Matt Manning in quite some time. His last outing back on April 16th against the Kansas City Royals. He was placed on the 60-day IL with a shoulder injury. So now he'll be back at the major league level after a few minor league starts. And, although he pitched pretty well in his first couple outings in the major leagues this season, he did struggle quite a bit in the major leagues last year. You look, his ERA was above 5, and overall it was a disappointing rookie season for Manning. I'm not sure I can back him in this spot against a Minnesota Twins lineup that's just been so strong against righties, against lefties, especially at home this season. And you look at the other side, Chris Archer, he's starting to struggle quite a bit. You look at his last couple outings, giving up earned runs in droves. You look, 6 earned runs against the Brewers last time out, 4 earned runs against the White Sox in the previous start. He's not even pitching too deep into those games. 7 walks allowed in his last 7 2/3 innings. I just can't trust him either, even though he's facing a Detroit Tigers lineup that hasn't been very, very good against righties. I still think Archer is just not in a good spot right now. I think the better play in this game is on the over. I lean towards Minnesota on the run line, but give me the over in this Tigers-Twins game. Next up, we see the Chicago Cubs taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Adam Wainwright and Keegan Thompson are your starters. Now, it is tempting to take that plus money with the Chicago Cubs. It's tempting to take the underdog here when you got Keegan Thompson, solid numbers overall this season, 8-4 with that 3.16 ERA, and you're getting pretty good plus money, but I just can't get there with Chicago. When you look at the numbers, Keegan Thompson has struggled on the road this season, a 4.4 ERA away from home. His strikeout numbers plummet on the road as well, so more of a Wrigley Field pitcher. While on the other side, Adam Wainwright, he has been dominant at home this year. 2.01 ERA at home, despite his 3.28 ERA overall this year. So much better numbers for Wainwright at home, far worse numbers for Keegan Thompson on the road. And the Cardinals lineup has been much better as of late as well, especially against right-handed pitching. So I just have to take the St. Louis Cardinals here on the money line. I think they are the better option and the better team here. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Texas Rangers. Jordan Lyles and Spencer Howard are your starters. To me, folks, this is the toughest game on the board in terms of what side to take. I think this is an absolute coin flip game, and that's why the price is Texas minus 115 and Baltimore minus 105. This is virtually a coin flip, a pick'em game. I'm going to lean towards the Orioles on the money line just because I trust Jordan Lyles just slightly more than Spencer Howard, and it's not much. I don't really trust either of these guys on the mound. but I think Lyles going up against his former team may have a little bit to prove here. And Lyles, his last 5 starts, the Orioles have won 4 of those 5. He hasn't been the sharpest in all of those innings, but the Orioles bats have backed him up, and I think that's going to be the case here against Howard and a really weak Rangers bullpen. I think the difference maker for me in this game is the Orioles bullpen is just a lot better this season than Texas's, and that's where I'm going to trust the Orioles just a little bit more, but a game I'm staying away from altogether. I'll lean towards the Orioles on the money line. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Houston Astros. We're going to see Cutter Crawford and Christian Javier as your starters. This is another pretty tricky game in my opinion. I just think based on value, I don't really love the Houston Astros here. I know the Red Sox have not been playing well, and they could be moving a couple of their veterans as well, so we're going to have to keep track of that. But to me, I think the better play in this game is on the under. Cutter Crawford's not a pitcher that I think is pitching too poorly. Although his ERA is above 4, his ERA is below 4 on the road this year. He has pretty good strikeout numbers overall, 50 Ks and 47.2 innings pitched. Last outing, he was sharp against the Cleveland Guardians. He went 5 2/3 innings, only giving up 1 earned run, and that was at Fenway Park. And the Guardians, like I mentioned, a pretty good lineup against righties, so impressive outing for Cutter Crawford there. The Houston Astros have been very, very good offensively, but I think Crawford has a quality start in this one. On the other side, Christian Javier pitching really well for Houston this season, and the Red Sox bats have just not been there as of late. Against right-handed pitching in the last month, they're ranked 24th in team OPS, which you would never think of. If you looked a month ago, the Red Sox were playing really good baseball. It's surprising to see these numbers, but they're also ranked 20th in isolated power. So I think the Red Sox team total under is a good option, but overall I'm going to take the full game under in this Red Sox-Astros matchup. In our next matchup, we see the Kansas City Royals taking on the Chicago White Sox. Now, I've seen 2 starters listed at various websites, Brad Keller and Brady Singer. So it's either going to be one of the two. I believe it should be Brady Singer here, but if it's not, it should be Brad Keller. And on the other side, Lucas Giolito for the White Sox. No matter who starts for the Royals in this game, I'm going to take the under. I do think Lucas Giolito is getting a little bit unlucky on the mound, and it was a good sign to see that he struggled in the beginning of that start against the Rockies, but he was able to settle in and give the White Sox some very much needed innings in that game. And overall at home here, I think he's going to pitch a solid quality start against a Royals lineup that hasn't been very, very good, especially against righties and especially losing Andrew Benintendi. I think Giolito has a bounce back and kind of a resurgent start in this one at home. On the other side, Brady Singer just coming off a dazzling performance against the New York Yankees. 7 innings of 1-hit baseball, no earned runs, 11 strikeouts in that one. He is pitching really good as of late. Brad Keller hasn't pitched too poorly either himself, and the White Sox I've mentioned all season long, not really good numbers against righties this year, more so against left-handed pitchers. I'm going to take the under in this game. I lean towards the White Sox on the money line / the run line, but I think the under is the better play. In our next matchup, we see the Oakland Athletics taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Now, we're certainly not going to see Frankie Montas on the mound. He was projected to start for this game, but he was dealt to the New York Yankees at the deadline. Noah Syndergaard is listed for the Angels right now, but he could also be dealt at the deadline. He has been rumored to be an option available from the Los Angeles Angels. I see the New York Yankees are rumored to be connected with him, but getting Montas now, I'm not sure that's going to be the case. So we're just going to have to wait and see. If Syndergaard does get the start here, I do like the Angels. Even if he doesn't get the start, I lean towards Los Angeles. I think they are the better team overall. Syndergaard's last 4 starts, the Angels haven't necessarily won a ton of those games, but he has had 6 strikeouts or more in 3 of those 4 outings. That does impress me quite a bit, as Syndergaard is somebody that I do think needs to strike out batters to have success, and that's why for the most part in 2022 he hasn't had the best numbers, but his ERA is below 4 now in the year, which is solid, below 3 at home this season, a 2.96 ERA at Angel Stadium, so I do think Syndergaard is going to be the better option here. I think the Angels lineup is also much better in the bullpen as well, so give me the Los Angeles Angels here on the money line. We're going to have to wait and see. Both of these teams are rumored to be big-time sellers at the deadline. We'll see who's available after the deadline on Tuesday afternoon. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the San Francisco Giants. Tyler Anderson and Alex Wood, a pair of lefties going at it here. Now, both of these teams have done very well against lefties in the last 30 days. The Dodgers, number 2 in team OPS, number 2 in isolated power against lefties. The Giants, number 3 in team OPS, number 3 in isolated power against lefties. So both of these teams, top 3 offenses against southpaws. And I think I trust Tyler Anderson just a little bit more than Alex Wood right now. And I trust the Dodgers lineup and their bullpen a lot more than San Francisco's as well. And the Giants have been rumored to maybe be sellers of the trade deadline. I don't know how much I believe in that. I still think San Francisco's should be competitive at the end of this season. I mean, they're only a few games out of the wild card right now in the National League, so I really wouldn't understand the sell. That may be just rumors that we hear. We hear a lot of speculation around this time. On the other side, the Dodgers should be big-time buyers. They're looking to get some big-name pieces. They're making quite a big push for Juan Soto. We'll see if that's going to be the case, but right now, I think the Dodgers are the better team here, and the price is pretty good for Los Angeles, so I'm going to take the Dodgers here on the money line to end the night. And that's it. Those are the games for Tuesday, August 2nd. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.